the Naharjito Bookathon presented in association with the Raisoni Foundation. In this session, we shall explore the book India's Odyssey from a Developing Country to an Emerging Superpower by Pratap Singh IRS. As India embarks on its journey to becoming a developed economy, its developmental odyssey serves as an inspiration and offers time-tested nuggets for aspiring nations striving for all-round progress. India's Odyssey from a developing country to an emerging superpower dives deep into this transformational journey of India, Bharat, from its great ancient civilization to the dark ages of subjugation, followed by its progression into a developing country towards an emerging superpower. The last 3 decades have seen remarkable changes in India, evident by its modern economy, excellent infrastructure, and exceptional scientific innovation ecosystem. Armed with a strong military and its ranking as the fifth largest economy in the world, India radiates confidence in its progress and growth. The book covers the political journey of the country and important events since independence. India is already at the cusp of becoming the third largest economy. The author has attempted to capture the holistic economic development of the country that focuses on building a modern and low carbon economy. Recent geopolitical developments and events shaping India and the world, right from G20, BRICS, SCO, Quad, Ukraine war to the Israel-Hamas conflict and other important developments have also been examined. Our speaker for this session, Pratap Singh, IRS, is the Principal Commissioner of Income Tax. He's an Indian Revenue Service officer with 29 years of experience of working in the area of tax policy formulation, planning and implementation, and experience of heading the biggest revenue commissionerate in India. He is an IIT Kanpur graduate with a PhD in economics, PGDM, and LLB, having published 2 research papers and a few reports. He's also an enthusiastic marathon runner and golfer. Our moderator for this session is Mr. Shailendra, the CEO and founder of TIOL, beginning his career at the Indian Express in 1990 and later spending over 5 years at the Economic Times. In 2000, he embarked on an entrepreneurial journey to establish TIOL, driven by his insights as a financial journalist. His vision was to create a knowledge-driven company serving corporate needs and acting as a watchdog for Indian tax and trade policies. Shailendra heads TIOL on all fronts, engaging with policymakers, overseeing editorial operations, and managing the news gathering team. With this, I'd like to hand over the session to our moderator.
Hello all, I have Mr. Pratap Singh with me, the Senior Income Tax Officer, and more importantly for us, the author of the recently released book titled Odyssey of India from a Developing Country to an Emerging Superpower. This book was recently released by the G20 Sherpa, Mr. Amitabh Kant, and several other dignitaries from the judiciary and government of India. In fact, being a taxman, Mr. Singh for him it was very natural, to pen his first book, which was released last year, and it is titled Tax Administration Reform, an Indian Experience. Mr. Singh is actually, being an IITian and also a doctorate in developmental studies, is a strong voter of environmental revolution which is going on across the country. All of us know that how the climate change is impacting every Indian and every citizen on this planet. He is closely associated with an NGO where he does a lot of developmental and community programs, and he can be credited to have planted thousands of tree saplings in several cities, including Gurgaon. Friends, I'm going to have a chit chat with him about his book, the recent book of course, and also the previous book. And let me start with Mr. Pratap Singh. Sir, let me know what really motivated you, to come up with this kind of theme for your book.
Thank you, Salenji, firstly for the kind words. See, if you recall, on 14th July 2023, India launched Chandrayaan 3, and a few days later, it successfully landed on Moon. Then in September, we had a very successful G20 summit. Now, these were 2 events which catapulted India in higher politically and geopolitical context. And I was wondering whether our time has come or we as a country has arrived. And if we have not arrived as yet, what all we needed to do. So, I thought about really exploring India's development journey. as to what were we. See, we used to we are a great civilization, and we used to be a great country in ancient period, and until 1750 we had almost 25% of global GDP. And our educational institutions, they used to be probably the best in the world. So people all across the globe used to come to Indian universities or institutions like Nalanda, Takshila for education. So culturally, still we are rich, and we used to be very rich. Then it so happened that under the foreign rule after 1750, under British rule, we lost pace, our economic growth declined to a very large extent, and when we got independence sometime in the year, when we got independence in 1947, our literacy rate was 16%, our share in global GDP was close to 3 to 4%. We were very extremely poor country. In last 200 years or so, our per capita income grew only at a pace of around 1%. So a lot of illiterate people, and the food issues, the hunger issues. So from there, really, we have traveled a long journey until now. Then thereafter, you must have heard Honorable Prime Minister's clarion call that we wish to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047, a fully developed country. So how we are going to become, what kind of efforts and steps are required to be taken, what kind of difficulties may come, and what all we need to do. So this is the inspiration of this book.
Right. So your book virtually captures, very difficult trenches for any economy which aims and aspires to become a developed economy. So, sir, which are the key areas where you have focused in this book?
See, of course, the economy. So, economy is very important. See, we are still a lower middle level income country, and a section of our people are still poor. Though extreme poverty we have reduced almost to a great extent. So about 2 to 3% people are only extremely poor. But we need to think in terms of multidimensional poverty. Then a decent living standards. If we wish to become a developed country, naturally in today's term, our per capita income requirement is somewhere around 13,800, close to 14,000. And we stand somewhere close to 2,800, 3,000 kind of per capita income in terms of US dollar. So still we need to travel a long distance, and a lot of things we need to do. So we have achieved great feats in various areas, including digitalization, e-governance, and in terms of food we are self-sufficient now. Our infrastructure is expanding at a great pace. But still we need to do a lot of things in terms of creating high quality jobs to our people. So first is economy, as I was saying. Then second is military. Then of course technological innovation, expenditure in R&D, further improvement in infrastructure. Human development is very important area. Then environment, decarbonization. So these are the futuristic points. And if we wish to become a great power, a fully developed country, we need to pay a very close attention to all these things. And we are doing very well as of now. In terms of economy, if you say, we grew at 8.2% in the last financial year, 2023-24. Prior to that, we grew close to 7.3, 7.4%, and prior to that, even higher, 9.1%. So we have done extremely well, but we need to sustain. So whatever next level kind of reforms are required, so we need to take care of that. But then in critical needs, or critical, whether it is defense equipments or critical minerals and technologies, we need to be self-sufficient. So we can't be dependent upon any other country.
Right, sir. So that is where, sir, you have focused, in the India's Odyssey to become a fully developed country by 2047. So that's very interesting, sir. Now, in fact, sir, who all can benefit from this book?
See, this book, in a way, is for the people who love India and who like and appreciate India's rise. So it is for them, but certainly this book is going to be very, very useful for the people who are engaged in development planning of country, who deal with the policy matters. So a lot of important points or ideas or issues, they can get benefited out of the book. Then this book would be very handy for the students. So whether they are school or college going students, because the kind of areas and ideas have been covered at one place. See, you can say this book is like 16 books compressed into like one book. So every topic, every idea may be like equivalent to like one book. So all of that has been put at one place. Then I would say the students who are, the candidates who are appearing at UPSC exam. So UPSC exam, so this book is going to be very, very useful. And finally, I would say the people who wishes to know about India. So anybody who is living abroad or within country, what India is all
Or foreign
about,
investors.
what India like stands for foreign investors, Indian lovers, people of Indian origin who are like staying abroad. So as I said earlier, we started from very early period. So ancient period till medieval period, then post-independence development, then how far we have come, and where do we wish to reach and how to reach there.
Right, sir. It's a wonderful, sir. Okay. So, sir, you have in this book, apparently I took a look and I found that you have touched upon India is destined to become a superpower. That means it is already emerging as a superpower. So, where exactly you have focused, sir, in here?
See, if we talk in terms of superpower, so presently there is only one superpower, which is USA. So, what are the strengths of USA? USA is a very large economy. And USA is formidable global military power. And they can project their power in any corner of the world. So the kind of military, advanced military they have built up. So these are two necessary elements if we wish to become superpower. So economy, an advanced economy, fully developed economy, then a strong military. Now the third element is high human development. This is very necessary in terms of our education, in terms of our health, in terms of nutrition. So we have to have high level of this. Then living standards. So if we talk of living standard, the way like our day-to-day discourse and day-to-day we are living, then clean environment, of course. And then finally the soft power. Whether we are inspiring the other countries, other world, other people, other countries globally, other societies, communities, like our way of living and culture. So yoga, as we say, yoga is like an Indian thing which people like follow globally. Then Ayurveda, spiritualism. Then our development model. See, it could be some kind of guidance to the other countries. India, in own way, India developed its own development model, and which other countries could follow. So we did not follow in a particular communist system or capitalist system. So this is Indian-led system, and the way we are progressing, we can certainly become some kind of example for the other countries to follow.
Right, sir. So, sir, in fact, the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister has set the net zero deadline as 2070, and you have also touched upon the decarbonization of the economy. So, which are the key pillars where you have focused on?
See, look, there are 3-4 elements as part of this 2070 goal. Now, before 2070, we have got 2030 goals. And in between we have undertaken like certain goals for ourselves, that energy transition is one. That largely presently we are based upon coal-based power, thermal power, and of course hydrocarbon. And then we have got renewable power. Renewable power is basically solar largely, and wind, then nuclear power, and of course a small like a geothermal, and all those elements are there. So India is a pioneer in energy transition. Now India is providing global leadership. You must have heard about the International Solar Alliance, which is headquarters here in Gurgaon. And India is pioneer along with France and other countries to take this initiative. Now, addition to renewable energy capacity, India is expanding at rapid pace, and we are already on track to achieve our 2030 goals. Then green hydrogen, green ammonia. Those are the kind of initiatives. Then electric battery technology. Electric battery we are expanding. A lot of new technologies are getting developed in country. I've discussed in the book. You see a startup in Gurgaon. They have developed aluminum-based chemistry for electric battery. Those are the kind of things we want, because aluminum is available in abundance. As of now, we are more of lithium-based, of which we are deficient. We don't have much of lithium, so we have to depend upon countries like China and other countries for its import, etc. And lithium is not alone. Chromium, then nickel, then vanadium. So a lot of host of. So we need to sort of create capacities within country, and how to the technology to extract those materials within countries, so that we are self-sufficient. So solar energy we are doing very well. Wind energy we are adding. There is also time to have a look at this nuclear energy. The nuclear energy also, in terms of creating CO2, etc., there is not much of problem. So we should do that. But the issue is our population is expanding. Our energy consumption per capita is still low. So we have to produce more and more energy. And we need to stay the course. And for that, a lot of this finance is required. In the solar energy, etc. So global, this climate finance is still issue, because developing countries like India need a lot of funding, and developed countries, they are so far hesitating. They haven't come forward to contribute sufficiently. They have contributed a bit, but not to desired extent.
Absolutely, sir. So, sir, talking about technology, naturally you have touched upon this startup ecosystem. So, in which direction do you think our startup actually is heading, and what more needs to be done?
See, if we wish to become a developed country, we have to be very, very innovative. No doubts about it. No two opinions about it. Indian startup ecosystem presently is the third best in the world. That's like a very good thing. And almost 20-25 unicorns we have every year. The number of entities registered by DPIIT, which is the government agency which is registered, is more than 1,12,000, 1,13,000. So there is a kind of number. And this place is again the best in the startup ecosystem. So Gurgaon, just next to Bangalore. So we are doing well. You must have heard about this Flipkart and Zepto and Meesho and Nyaka, and a lot of innovative product in every direction, a lot of retail-based kind of thing in every direction. So we need to have more and more of such entities. The issue is funding with the startup still. The government is create some kind of tax incentives and funding issues, but still a lot more venture capital funding has to come, which presently not available within country. So it's still like our these big startups like Paytm, the funding has come from China, Singapore, Japan, and other places. So we have to create a system. Now our share market is buzzing, and I'm sure that in due course we'll have sufficient funding for a startup. Please note that startups have a very high failure rate. So some kind of support from the government is necessary, and that should be created for the startup for innovation and building a high technology country. A good startup ecosystem is essential.
So before we wrap up, I would like to know a little bit about your first book, the Reform in Tax Administration, an Indian experience. How unique is this experience, and whether this experience is replicable, whether other countries can follow and their tax revenue can perhaps register substantial growth.
You see, I'm a tax person, so you know that for last 33 years, 34 years, I've been working in taxation area. And if we go back in our history, we had such a well-developed taxation system in the country. You go to this modern period, and Acharya Chanak, he has extensively written about taxation. What is a good taxation system? So the principles like certainty, convenience, which are like maxims which Adam Smith also wrote in 1776. These things were talked about Acharya Chanak long back in those modern periods, see some 2000, 2300 years back. Then Manu Smriti, there is a discussion about taxation. Then Tulsidas Ji has talked about, so all those things, so we covered it from that period. We derived inspiration from there. Then how we developed taxation system over a period of time. See, when I joined the government sometime in 1991, we used to work in entirely physical mode. It used to take a lot of time. And today, we are fully automated. There is no human interface. So with the help of technology, we are able to do almost 10, 11 times of workload at 1/10 or 1/20th of time. So our factor in terms of efficiency is grown by 200%. So this we were able to do with the help of technology. Now in terms of tax revenue, we used to collect somewhere around 10, 11,000 crore when I joined. Today almost 20 lakh crore. So there's a massive kind of expansion, and the way tax system has evolved, so we have discussed about it. Then we examined impact of 1991 reform on tax collections and GDP growth, etc. And we examined through a computer model that in post 1991 period, the growth in taxes was 1.31 times more than GDP growth. So the buoyancy factor of 1.3. Then we examined impact of 2008 global slowdown. So we examined that, and through a computer model, we reach on a conclusion that the growth in taxes was declined by 4.1% on average as compared to pre-2008 period. Post 2008, this happened. Then we examined this impact of demonetization. Demonetization has been a hotly debated topic. You know that we launched it sometime in 2016. So demonetization, there has been very good positive impact upon tax collection, and both tax collection and the tax base. So we mobilized more than 2 crore taxpayers during that period, 16-17 kind of period. Then our taxation growth increased by 4% on average during these periods. So financially 16-17, 17-18, if you see the tax growth, it increased by 4%. But in terms of GDP growth, there was decline by 1%. But the biggest advantage of demonetization action has been the formalization of economy. Greater formalization of economy, impact of which we are seeing today on tax collection and number of taxpayers, etc. So it had a lot of positive impact and some minor negative impact which was nullified in a year or so. So GDP growth bounced back after a year or so. Now today, we are growing at 8.2%. So this was one of the major studies. Then black money, latest models like TADAT model, OECD thing, Pillar 1, Pillar 2 solutions, and the latest in international tax, and what Indian income tax should do following global best practices. So since I did this study, this was part of my PhD study also. A lot of things has happened in Indian tax system. I was pleasantly surprised. So a lot of ideas have been followed, implemented, legislated, and lot more are in pipeline. So in due course, things will happen. So suggestions made by TARC and other experts. So all those things are examined.
So thank you, sir, for giving us a wonderful insight about your book. In fact, you have the key recommendations which you have suggested. Actually, they are going to be the pillars, for the developer stage of India in 2047. In fact, several the pathway which you have suggested, for the policymakers, and the kind of inputs you have given in your books, very rigorously, very laboriously collated and filtered, and also assimilated and at the same time interpreted. These are the insights, these are the wisdoms, these are the words of wisdom which one can find in the book. And apparently this book is priceless in terms of, and particularly for as the author himself rightly suggested, for the development planners, for the policy makers, for the policy interpreters, for the industry as a whole, India Inc., because there is a huge chapter on greening and decarbonization and climate change. And of course, the huge, very large community of students, and as well as their teachers. In fact, it's very relevant for the teachers, what they are going to talk about and what they are going to share with the students and the younger generation, and whom the authors say that they are the innovators, the younger generations. And ultimately, innovation is a critical factor of production in any economy nowadays, given the injection of technology, the new technology, the new processes. In fact, the book talks about a very, it has dedicated chapter on a startup ecosystem, and that focuses more on innovation and creativity. And of course, there are a lot of challenges here touched upon. Those challenges will always remain. But the Indian model, he has rightly put it that it's a one model which a lot of global South countries can follow for planning their own development and growth. And India is going to be one of those shining examples in the coming decades. So thanking you all for watching it. All the best, sir, for the book and also for your future books. I'm pretty sure that you will be writing many more books to come. So thank you all. Thank you, sir.